So, hello and welcome back to my workshop yet again. I feel like workshop sounds good. It sounds like I'm in a professional space or something. And today we are going to be doing something that I think is a lot of fun. Um, I've been experimenting most of the day and trying to get things right. Not that anything ever actually is completely right for me, but I've been trying. As you can see, I've been painting, which means I have paint all over me because I am a mess. But we are going to do Luminaries 3 different ways. We're going to do a traditional paper bag luminary, which honestly, although pretty, I think is my least favorite right now. And then we're going to do mason jar luminaries, which could just be doubled as, gift holders as well, because I really think that they turn out pretty. And finally, we're going to be doing ice luminaries, which I have a few caveats and a few things that I've thought of working with the ice that I'll talk about as we go. But we're going to start off with the mason jar luminaries. Now, I've got a couple of them painted up already, but it's really, really easy. You could probably do this with thinned out glue and glitter. You could do it just plain without any paint at all. I have a glitter addiction, so I'm going to use my glitter paint again. And I found that I've done them in several different colors with several different kinds of paint. And I kind of like the glitter paint. Also, I actually busted out my little palette here. And I'm going to try to make sure that you guys can actually see what I'm doing. So hopefully this will work. So I'm going to move this over here. You just get any sort of little mason jar or any kind of jar that you have, and just give it a real quick coat of this glitter paint that I got. Now, I got this stuff at Walmart last year. I think you could probably pick it up at any craft store. I like Walmart because, because I have them around. Well, kind of around. I have to drive 50 miles to get to the nearest Walmart, but although Dollar Tree is closer, it doesn't have quite the selection, and I don't really have any craft stores that are any closer than a Walmart. So yeah, if I want like a really good craft store like Michael's or anything like that, I actually have to drive almost 100 miles. The drawbacks of living in the middle of the woods. I mean, there's a lot of pluses to living in the middle of the woods, though. Like having cute squirrels and chipmunks as your neighbor. I mean, I take that as a massive positive. So you're just going to put a coat of paint on it. The glitter stuff, you really do kind of need 2 coats of paint to make it a little bit thicker, because I'll show you this one that's still drying. As you can see, it dries a little bit streaky. We're going to put another coat on it. It's pretty, but I kind of want the jar to be not completely opaque, but not quite so streaky, because you're going to put a candle inside, and the candle will give it a little pretty glow. And besides, the glitter stuff looks like snow, and that is kind of my jam right now. So there we go. We're going to put a second coat on this one. And then I'm going to show you the other colors that I painted, which I've already dropped a battery operated votive into just to double check that it would be visible. And yeah, even on the paint that's thicker, it still shows through. So I'm going to drop this in. Didn't I have water around here somewhere? I thought I did. Oh well. I'm going to put this paintbrush off to one side for a second so I can show you the other colors that I did. I did a blue, which you can tell I did a blue because it's on my hands. I did this really pretty pink color that I found. Not quite Christmassy, but I thought it was pretty, so who cares? And I've got a silver here. So I think all of those will be quite pretty when it's done. So we're going to let these dry and come back to them. And now we're going to move on to the paper bag votive. All right, for the paper bag votive, obviously, you're going to need a paper bag, an X-Acto knife, and something to cut on. I tried cutting on just folded up paper bags. That doesn't work as well. Also, my X-Acto knife is extremely dull, warning you about that now. But you want to make sure that whatever it is that you want to cut on can fit inside your paper bag, because otherwise you're going to have a terrible, terrible, terrible mess. Because you don't want the designs on both sides, unless you do. And if you do, hey, that's also fine. I kind of want different things on either side. And paper bags are kind of a pain, and this is actually almost too big, but you know what? We soldier on here. I feel like I should be humming the Black Parade. We carry on. Speaking of the Black Parade, that is such a good song. I feel like that is the song of the mall. That is like the Hot Topic song for the ages. And then I found it's easier to just sort of draw something on the bag to cut out. I think you could probably get stencils. I saw some really pretty ones with like snowflakes on them. But I, for whatever reason, have decided that I just want like Christmas trees and stuff. And they're just going to be really basic. But I also kind of want a big crescent moon up in the top. And you're just going to rough it out. It doesn't have to be perfect. You could probably even like cut stuff out with cookie cutters. That would be kind of cute. And then I want a little star up here. Something kind of like that. With little spiky bits coming out there. And then, you know, maybe a couple more little stars down here. And then just a Christmas tree over here in the corner. I would love to do a house, but I'm not sure that I am talented enough to actually do a good house. But we'll do a little Christmas tree right here. And you know what? Maybe we can do... No, I'm not sure that I can actually do a house, but we'll do a second Christmas tree down this way, maybe even a third. It's kind of like Bob Ross. Happy little trees everywhere. And then you're just going to cut them out. And then they did suggest on WikiHow, which is where I looked this up, that you probably would want sand or something to sand your bags up with, which does make sense, but I don't actually have any sand, so I'm just putting a battery-operated candle in these, because putting a mechanical candle, or a mechanical candle, makes more sense than a flame candle inside of paper. I know that I have seen people that do put the candles inside the paper bags, and I don't think I've ever heard of that going terribly wrong. But in my mind, that just seems like a recipe for disaster. It probably isn't. It's probably just me being paranoid. But you know what? I tend to be paranoid quite often. Also, I need to remember to periodically look in my viewfinder to see if you guys can actually see what I'm doing. See, it takes me a while, but I do eventually learn. Perfect? No. But I think that's the fun of this. And I think if you did like stencils, you could make this really pretty. I saw somebody that did one of these with a stencil of snowflakes. And the snowflakes were so pretty. But I kind of want that to go away. There we go. I did not print out stencils because my printer and I are always having an argument. Also, the WikiHow that I looked this up on suggested a self-healing cutting mat, which just sounds absolutely insane, and I don't think I have ever heard of a self-healing cutting mat, but I love the idea. But yeah, you're just going to go ahead, cut everything out, just like that. Pop everything out of there, and then you're just going to put your candle in it and light it up. So I'm going to finish doing that, and yeah, then we'll move on to the real fun, the ice luminary. All right, so our final thing is the ice luminaries, and if you remember, I froze a bunch of water balloons last night, and you might have said, what are you doing? Well, like I said, I was on WikiHow and I saw these and I thought they were so pretty. A few caveats. I forgot ice is cold. Ice is very, 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 very cold. Also, weirdly enough, I'm glad that I decided to freeze them both in my deep freeze inside and outside, because all of the outside ones still had water inside. So all of the outside ones are hollow, which I don't hate. Like, I really don't hate. I kind of like the way that turns out. So I will show you the difference between them. But first, we have to get the balloon off. And this one, I brought it inside this afternoon. And I put it in my freezer. And somehow it broke in my freezer and got water all over, but hollowed itself out quite nicely. So you need something that you can chisel ice with, and that is what I am going to do now. Cross your fingers that I don't stab myself, because I feel like stabbing myself is not in my plans. But yeah, I kind of forgot that ice is cold and cold and wet and kind of hard. These are the perils of looking something up on Wiki and just saying, you know what, that looks like fun, I'm going to do that. Not saying that I'm sad that I decided to do it, but they don't tell you all of the perils. I'm just going to leave that little bit of red there. But this is so cool. It looks like a little ice football helmet. Like you could put this on some kid. Don't put it on some kid. But this is neat because I feel like it will make a beautiful, beautiful bowl to put a candle in, which looks very cool once you get all of the balloon off, which does come off much easier when it didn't freeze in your freezer. There we go. All right, so I've got that one. Very cool. Little ice bowl. Even through gloves, very cold. Glad that I'm doing this in the basement because ice is everywhere right now. But there's that one. We're gonna unwrap the second one after I stick this back in the freezer so it doesn't melt. The basement is cold, but it's not that cold, so give me a second. All right, so here is our other ice balloon, ice ball, ice whatever. And I'm going to tell you a couple things that I have thought of since doing this, and am probably going to try later, but I was already working on this video and had already kind of promised it, so we're just forging ahead with what we've got. The first thing I thought is that if you put your ice balloon before it melts or before it's frozen onto something that would kind of form a divot in it, this whole process might be easier. So I'm going to do that the next time I do these. The second thing is Be sure that you're doing this somewhere that you don't worry about getting wet, because you're working with ice and you're going to be chiseling the ice. And chiseled ice turns into water. Amazing how that happens, isn't it? The third thing is, I definitely would want to also kind of recommend that you place them somewhere so that they end up having a resting spot. And then you can kind of just decide where you want the candle. But there is your spiffy little ice ball. I love how it has a little belly button because of the tying the balloon. Not all of them did, but this one has a belly button. And then the next step is the hardest, and it's why I said I kind of wish that I would have thought about maybe putting a rock or anything for the ice to form over. But the next step is to chisel a hole in your ice. And this one doesn't take as long as I thought that it would, but still it takes longer than you would think. It probably would help if I had an ice pick, but anything works. And you want to chisel your hole deep enough to put, I would suggest, a tea light in it. They said you could do an electric candle, but if you do an electric candle, it's going to get wet. And I don't know if electric candles are actually made to get wet. So we're just gonna keep on chiseling, and you can chisel it as deep as you want. I'm gonna go get one that I've already chiseled because this is a long process and it takes a while. But you see what we're getting at here. Let me go get the one that I got. All right, so here is one that I painstakingly chiseled the hole in. And I do have an electric tea light. I can show you what it will look like with one of those in there. But like I said, I kind of feel like a regular tea light would work a little bit better. But you can drop it in there and then just let it do its thing. Does this look as stunning here as it does outside? No, it doesn't. And I'll take you outside in a minute to show you all of these lit up. But now I think at least some of our paint is dry, so it's time to decorate the other jars for our other votives. So give me a second to put this little bad boy back in the freezer for now, and we're gonna do some more decorating. I have no idea why it didn't occur to me just how cold ice is. My fingers are freezing now, but that's okay. We suffer for our art. Or something. So the pictures that I saw of the mason jar gift jars / luminaries, I saw them, they all had like pretty ribbons and things, but then I thought about Hazel, who sent me this beautiful twine, and I was like, that would look so pretty. So that is what we're going to do. We are going to do one with ribbon. We're gonna do one or two with twine. And I even was kind of thinking, I don't know if it will end up looking good, but we might use some of this tinsel around the top. That also might look cool, or it might just look tacky. I don't know. We'll find out. And then you guys will have to tell me in the comments which ones are your favorite. I want to get some of this tinsel. You know, I should never have taken it out of the packaging because now it's everywhere and everything is covered in tinsel. That's not always a bad thing, but it might be a bad thing sometimes. I've got my hot glue gun heating up so that I can get hot glue strings everywhere, along with tinsel getting everywhere, and probably some jute twine getting everywhere, maybe even some ribbon getting everywhere. We're just gonna have everything everywhere all at once. And no, I haven't seen that movie. I feel like everybody should just ask me what movies I have seen, because it's a much shorter list than the amount of movies I haven't seen. All right. Ooh, is that still wet? A little bit. That's okay. Shh. We aren't going to talk about something still being wet. I have some of this ribbon, which we have used before, and I'm going to cut a few lengths of that because I have ideas. Whether these ideas are going to work out or not, I'm not really sure. But you know what? I am completely willing to try. And now let's just flip this so that you guys can see what I'm doing. All right. What I am thinking is on this blue jar, just to contrast, we're going to do the jute twine. And what I want to do first is just do a little knot. Don't worry, the hot glue will come in here soon enough, but I kind of want this little knot. And then we're going to fray the ends a little bit. So we'll have the little knot, and then I'm going to fray the ends just so that it looks kind of rustic and boozy. I love the fact that I can do this because knots are wonderful. So we're going to do the spin the jar thing and kind of just make it look a little bit frayed. I'm afraid not. Oh my God, Christine, stop trying to make jokes. You are not funny. All right, so we've got that. And then what I was thinking would be really pretty is a little bit, I'm getting so much use out of these little pieces of pine greenery. But we could put that, kind of glue it right up under there. So let's see if this hot glue gun is ready for action yet. Do you have hot glue yet? I think so. Yeah. All right, so we're going to do a little dollop of hot glue right there. And then we're going to take our little piece of greenery and glue it in right there. And now that is kind of secure, but that makes for a very boring top. Plus, I didn't get it all painted nicely. So the next step is just going to be to take and hot glue a border all the way around the top. And then we'll move on to the other jar. All right, I actually think the blue one is looking really good. Let's see if the one that I was thinking about doing with blue ribbon will end up as good. And then as a centerpiece on this one, I was thinking it would probably look really nice with curled ribbon and maybe even one of those little ribbons. So again, I'm going to tie a knot first because I would like a base and kind of just curl the ends a lot. I don't know. I haven't seen anything exactly like this, but then again, that's like 85% of what I do. I'm like, I haven't actually seen anybody do this way. I've seen people do it in other ways, and it was really pretty. So maybe this will look good too. Do that. And that. Okay. That's kind of cute. And now I'm going to go grab a bow. And then we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to wrap the top with the blue, and it'll have a cute little bow right there. Or maybe I'll just do a whole bunch of little curled ribbons. That might look pretty too. Just a whole bunch of, like a spriggin of curled ribbons. Is spriggin a real word? I mean, spriggin is a real word. Am I using it right? Who knows? All right, we'll do like 5 or 6 of these little curls here. That was the most pathetic curl I've ever done. You can tell it's cold down here because I am starting to really mess everything up. Curl curl there. We'll put a curl there. I'll be done with this in a few minutes and I'll show you the results. All right. So there is the blue. I actually really like it, but I will say ribbon is harder to work with than the twine was, which probably means that my grand idea for this pink jar is going to be the world's biggest pain in the butt, but I'm willing to try it, and that is this glitter tinsel. It's probably gonna look terrible, but you know what? Like I said, willing to give it a try. So I'm gonna put a blobbo of hot glue there and a blobbo of hot glue there. And we're just gonna kind of see if we can wrap this glitter tinsel around this thing and get it into the hot glue. And I actually don't mind if it's a little bit messy, because I feel like that might be the idea that I'm going for here. I'm going to put a little bit more hot glue over here and a little bit more hot glue over here. And we're going to hope that this actually kind of sort of works, at least a little bit maybe. And then we're going to kind of just do that. You know what? I don't know if this is good or if it's terrible, but I don't hate it. We're just going to like wrap it in glitter tinsel and keep on trucking here. It's going to look like the world's most psychotic spider, I think. But the most psychotic glittery spider, and there's worse things to be than a psychotic glittery spider, I guess. I don't know. What do you guys think? I don't think this one is absolutely a win. I honestly think this one is the prettiest. And like I said, we're going to put some little votive candles in and put them out in the backyard and light all of our topia or our votives up and just kind of see them all in the dark in action. So that's what we're going to do next. All right. It was a lot of fuss. It was a lot of bother. But honestly, the ice luminaries are stunning. I see ways that I could do them better in the future. Also, I was really upset at first that I had the hollow ice luminaries. But now, especially this one here, it is stunning. Oh my gosh, I've got the candle set inside with the ice bowl upside down on top of it. That is so pretty. And then this one I did the opposite way. I just put the candle inside like it was a bowl. And then this is the one that I chiseled out the little spot in the top of the solid bowl. Now, the paper bag luminaries, I feel like I did something wrong. I don't know what, but something. And the jar luminaries, I really like them too. I really like the way they turned out. They don't have a real candle in them, because the only candles I have right now are these tiny little tea lights, which are kind of hard to light with a regular lighter and get in there. But maybe with a longer lighter, they would work better. But they look really pretty even with the electric lights. But yeah, these ice luminaries, oh, a 15 out of 10. Also, I was thinking about it today while I was kind of wondering how these were going to freeze. And I realized that you could probably put glitter or food coloring into the water that you do the water balloon. And then you could have colored ice luminaries, which also sound really cool. So yeah, if you are looking for something to stun and you live in a cold climate, you could probably make these ice luminaries, set them out on your porch, and have them greet your holiday guests as they arrive to Christmas, like a Christmas Eve thing. So let me know what you think of these. Let me know which one of the jar candles you like the best, and let me know where I went wrong with the paper bags. So thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. I really like these luminaries. Hit the thumbs up on your way out if you don't mind, and I will see you tomorrow.